needs sustenance in the form of baked goods. I don't know if I can actually, I have so many thoughts and they're not organized in my mind. It's also just so hard for me to pay attention to audiobooks. I made a bit of a grave error, and the double standards were absolutely enraging. This hugely chaotic, messy disaster situation. Good morning, friends. It is the Whateverthon 48-hour readathon. So it is currently 8 o'clock on Saturday morning. I know that officially the readathon began at midnight British time last night, which is 1 a.m. here in Austria. And I know I could have stayed up late and started then, but the thing is, I am an old person and I like my sleep, so I decided that I would alter the times of the readathon a little bit to suit my needs a little better. So I am officially starting this readathon now at 8 a.m. and I will go until 8 a.m. Monday. And hopefully I will get lots of things read. I do not have a set TBR for this weekend readathon. I think that I'm going to start with the graphic novel that I wanted to read this month, which is called Cattywampus by Ash Van Otterloo. And I think that will be like a nice, quick and easy read to start things off. Also, I do have some other stuff that I need to accomplish this weekend. I am actually going on my first real international vacation next week. We have a 4-day weekend, so I'm going to go to Prague, which is only a 4-hour train ride, so it's not really far. It should be low key, but I'm still going away for 4 days, which means I need to have someone take care of my cats, which means that I need to have a clean apartment so I'm not embarrassed by what a slob I am. Plus, I like to have my apartment clean before I leave anyway. It just makes me feel better, and it's always nice to come home to a clean apartment. This weekend, I just really want to do laundry, deep clean my kitchen, do all of the vacuuming and everything, so it's all nice and ready before I go to Prague next week. Which means that I also have a couple of audiobooks to listen to. I got 2 of the books that are on my Whateverthon TBR on audiobook, Too Bright to See by Kyle Lukoff and When Brooklyn Was Queer. I don't remember the name of that author. I found out that the book that I really wanted to read on audio, which is called No Way They Were Gay, is not actually available as an audiobook, at least not at any of my libraries, so that was unfortunate, but I do have these 2 other audiobooks to listen to, so hopefully that will help pass the cleaning time. And because it looks like a really nice day right now, I am hoping to maybe go for a nice long walk along the river, and I can always listen to my audiobook then, or pick up a physical or ebook to sit and relax by the water as well. So I just wanted to say good morning and say hi, and then I'm going to get started on my reading, and I will catch up with you once I have actually read something. Well, hello my friends. It is early afternoon now. It's almost 2 p.m. Wow, time has gotten away from me. I have not been the most productive today. Again, I know that I'm a little bit backlit, the lighting is not great, but I am about to eat my lunch, which consists of breakfast food. So you are just going to be with me at the place where I do that, even if the lighting is not ideal. I have finished book number 1, and I am on coffee number 2 of the day. So I made a bit of a grave error in that for some reason I was convinced that the book Cattywampus was a graphic novel. And I don't know how I got this in my mind, but I know that I've said it in at least 3 videos, including I think one that was specifically about queer middle grade books. And I feel really, really stupid and embarrassed right now. It's not a graphic novel, it's just a straight up regular middle grade prose novel. And so, what I thought would be a really quick, easy read to start off this readathon ended up being a lot longer. And not that that's a bad thing, I still really enjoyed the book, and I'll talk more about that in a second, but, it's almost 2 o'clock. the readathon's been going on for almost 6 hours and I've only read one book. And there are other reasons for that. You know, I had to go to the grocery store. I know I've mentioned this before, but in Austria, most businesses are closed on Sundays, which means like if I want food for the weekend, it has to get purchased on Saturday, and I always need to go and restock my weekend pastries, especially if there's a 48-hour readathon going on. I need sustenance in the form of baked goods. And then I woke up really early because cats. And I needed just a little bit of a nap in the middle of my reading. So I took a little like 45-minute nap in the middle of the book. So I just have been off to a slower start, and I'm a little sad about that, especially because, as I've mentioned, I really need to do some other like house cleaning stuff. I figured that would mostly happen tomorrow, although I did already start doing laundry, so pat myself on the back because that's super productive. I know it's not really that productive. So I figured today I would get the bulk of my reading done, and tomorrow would be the day that I focused a little bit more on cleaning with a little less reading. And that just has not been how the day has gone so far. I'm like, it's fine. It is what I make of it, whatever. It's just, I wanted to be farther along than I am. So I am currently watching Sandra's Sprints. She's one of the hosts, I think, on the Sunset Scholars team, but I cannot be certain. I chose to use this 45-minute sprint to make my lunch and catch up on the vlog, but the next 45-minute sprint I will definitely do some reading. Hopefully I will be done eating by then. So, oh right, let's talk about the book before I go actually focus on food and whatever. Okay, just had like a little coughing fit out of the blue. That's awesome. So Cattywampus is a middle grade novel by Ashvin Otterloo, which I know I've said, but just in case you missed it the other couple of times. And it is set in a town that really hates magic, but there are still some families who secretly practice magic. And the two main characters of this book, Delpha and Katie, are from those two families who happen to be rivals. So Delpha's family has just like said, no more magic, we're not doing it anymore, and that's in response to some past events. It just, they think, makes their lives easier. But Delpha really, really, really wants to practice magic. Katie's family still does practice magic in secret, in sort of defiance of the whole no more magic in town rule. But Katie is having trouble like coming into her magic, and she's concerned because magic is like a matriarchal thing in this universe. It's passed down from mother to daughter, and Katie found out recently that she is intersex. And she's concerned that that means she'll never really get to be a witch. And so both of these girls, Delpha and Katie, really want to do magic. And Delpha's family has a spell book, and Katie finds out about it. And they both really want this spell book. And in like their tussle over things and their misunderstandings, they accidentally unleash this hex that releases all of these ancestors of theirs who are zombies, who are eternally at war on their town. And so now that they have like created this hugely chaotic, messy disaster situation, they have to really figure out how to fix things and work together and like come to some sort of conclusion about what's going on with both of their magic. So it's a really fun middle grade novel. I was getting a little bit stressed out by the end because I was seeing like the percentage of the book I'd read get closer and closer to 100 and still feeling like there wasn't enough time to resolve everything that was happening. But don't worry, everything works out in the end. There are some twists and turns that are unexpected that I thought were really interesting. There's another side character who I really enjoyed their presence. So I definitely would wholly recommend it if you are a lover of middle grade, especially middle grade that involves witchy things, or if you know a tween who is a fan of witches and magic and things that go awry, then definitely pick that one up. So that was my first read of this little 48-hour readathon. I still don't know what I'm going to pick up next. I'm going to eat my lunch, and I think maybe, so I'm not in a sci-fi mood right now, but I feel like I need to power through my host favorite choice, otherwise I just won't read it. So I feel like maybe I will pick up Iron Widow and try to get started with that. On the other hand, last weekend I started reading This Wicked Fate, which is the sequel to This Poison Heart, which I loved so much. And maybe I'll go back and try to finish that one. So possibly one of those two. I'm gonna actually eat my food now that I've talked to you about my food for several minutes, and then I will catch up with you after I've read some more. Just finished reading Iron Widow, and I do not think that I have the words to process it right now. I am just like, what did I just read? I have so many thoughts. Anyway, it is about 10 p.m. This is going to be my last reading update for today. And I don't think I'm going to read anymore. I know I could stay up later and start another book, but as I have already mentioned, I like my sleep. I actually have a lot of stuff that I want to get done tomorrow. Some of it I probably should have done today, but I want to wake up early and get a head start on all of that. So let's try and put into words some thoughts about Iron Widow before I leave you to go to bed. So, first of all, I definitely was under the impression that this book was straight up sci-fi. It definitely is sci-fi in that it takes place in a futuristic society, and the main opponent of all of the people in the book supposedly came to their world from a different planet. So that is sci-fi, but the way that the giant battle creatures are operated, I honestly, I know I just finished this book, but I can't remember if they had an official name. But the giant war machines that the humans climb into, the way they're powered is really much more fantasy based, in my opinion, in the way that human spirit powers it, and that you can have different types of this spirit and they're elemental and the way they interact with one another. That seems much more from a fantasy base, and even some of the other things that were inspired by mythology and folklore. I just think that you can't put it in one particular genre category. It is not just straight up sci-fi in my opinion. So if you are a person who is intimidated by sci-fi, which I often am, like it takes a lot of motivation for me to actually pick up a sci-fi book because sometimes those worlds can be difficult to get into for me. So if you are also one of those people, then check it out, because this is, like I said, it bends genres, and there's just so much to unpack in this book. It was interesting to me that even though it is a futuristic society, it is one of those things where we have regressed in terms of social norms, particularly gender roles. And let me tell you, the gender roles in this book and the double standards were absolutely enraging. Especially just thinking about what is literally actually going on in this world today, specifically in the US right now, but honestly all over the world, and all of the inequality stemming from gender roles and heteronormativity and social constructs and etc., etc. It just made me so angry. I felt like maybe it was a little heavy-handed and blunt the way that the main character in this book went about stating these things, but first of all, she's a teenager, so like, okay. And second of all, you know, she's telling it like it is. So much. And like, I'm really, I don't know if I can actually, I have so many thoughts and they're not organized in my mind. I was getting a sense that perhaps not all was well in what everyone had been led to believe about the enemy, and the big reveal at the end confirmed my suspicions, and I have a lot of thoughts about what could be happening in the sequel, especially because of the other large piece of information that was revealed at the very end of the book. So yes, there is all of that. There is the whole concubine piloting system and that aspect of gender inequality that we could unpack for days. So basically, I am glad that I read the book. I am full of anger and rage at the mistreatment of the characters in the book, and I am intrigued by what's going to happen next. And I think that that's probably the most coherent I can be about this particular book at this point in the evening. So I am now going to stop talking about this and do something mindless for a little while and go to bed, and I will check in with you again for day 2 of the 48-hour readathon tomorrow. happy Sunday. Let's do a little reading update. I have not read very much. So yesterday I found out that there was this book flea market type thing happening, and I decided that any opportunity to get used books for my shelves is one that I need to take advantage of, and as I've mentioned many times, possibly even in this very vlog, there's not a lot of stuff open on Sunday, so I kind of wanted to take advantage of the fact that I could actually go out somewhere on a Sunday and like buy stuff. So I went to that this morning. It's about a mile away from where my apartment is, so it was like a nice walk. I meandered my way across the river and spent some time looking at books there. Although there were a lot of books, the table for English books was small and sad, but it's okay. Apparently this happens like every couple of months. The guy told me that there's going to be another one in September, and he said that all of the books will be different, not the same, so I'll have to keep that on my radar. But that's how I spent a lot of the morning. I did take advantage of the walking time to start the audiobook of Too Bright to See by Kyle Lukoff, and I think I got 6 chapters into that. I am enjoying it. I am not, so far, as big a fan of it as I am of his other middle grade novel, Different Kinds of Fruit, only because I don't like ghost stories, but one of the prompts for this readathon is a spooky book, and so I will persevere. I don't know how I'm going to spend the rest of my time today, but if I actually do the cleaning that I should do before my trip out of town next week, then that can be a good opportunity to listen to even more of that book. Then I edited a different video for YouTube, and that took a chunk of time, but finally I did actually like sit down to do some sustained reading, and one of the other prompts on the bingo board for the Whateverthon is to read a book of a certain color, and like you should have the color chosen by someone other than like not you. So I finally last night looked at some of the books I really want to read this month and their color covers, and put up a little poll on the Whateverthon Discord, and this morning I checked and the color orange had won, and so I read the book Nate Plus One by Kevin Van Wy as my orange color of cover prompt for the Whateverthon bingo board, and like I had hoped to read this book anyway during this month, and I'm kind of glad that that's what came up, even though orange is my least favorite color, because my goodness, Kevin Van Wy just writes the type of like perfect, fluffy, swoony rom-coms that I just eat up. I really loved his first book, Date Me, Bryce and Keller. Again, I like put it off for a really long time because the description and the title sounded kind of cheesy for me, but I should have known not to be fooled by that, because that's like exactly the type of thing that I want. And Nate Plus One did not disappoint. I will say that like there's lots of great rom-com material in these books, and I laughed a lot, but it also was pretty serious. The main character goes on a trip to South Africa for his cousin's wedding and is facing some homophobia from his family members, which of course is terrible. And he also lost his dad when he was really young, and this is one of his only opportunities that he's had to like go and spend time where his dad grew up, and that brings up some heavy feelings. So all of that was really good. I enjoyed the plot immensely. Of course, the love interest was perfect and adorable. So I think Nate Plus One is already out. So definitely if you are a big rom-com fan, whether you need to read a book with an orange cover or not, you should check out Nate Plus One. So I'm really hoping to, it's only, I don't know, I think around 5 o'clock in the afternoon now.
maybe a little earlier, maybe a little later. Maybe I should look at a clock. I know that I should like do some responsible things like vacuum, but I really would like to read one more book before the day is over, and I'm just not sure if I'm in the mood to return to Too Bright to See. It's just, aside from the fact that ghost stories aren't really my thing, it's also just so hard for me to pay attention to audiobooks. And I know this is not a good thing. I am so envious of all of you who consume so much media via audio, because it's so easy for me to get distracted and just like go off on my little like train of thought and not pay attention, and then I've missed like significant chunks of the book. So I really need to get better about that. As I think I've said before, I feel like it's better for me if the audiobook is nonfiction, but I just wasn't in the mood to read nonfiction this morning. So I will find a way to get through Too Bright to See on audiobook and actually listen and pay attention, but maybe not during this 48-hour readathon. Although I guess anything can happen in the next couple of hours. But I didn't really eat lunch, so I'm really hungry. I think I'm going to go have an early dinner and maybe catch up on a little YouTube. Maybe I will do, so there's another prompt on the bingo board that is just a straight up poll people to find out what your next read should be. And maybe I will put up a poll on Discord to see what my next read should be, and that can be what I read for the rest of the day. I really need to get started on The City Beautiful. That's my choice for like hybrid genre. It's historical fantasy with like some pretty heavy mystery elements thrown in. And it's another one that I feel like is going to take a lot of motivation for me to read, because historical stuff and like being possessed by spirit stuff are not my favorites. I feel like when I say things like this, it sounds like I'm being like judgmental of the books, and I promise I'm not. I promise it is really all about me and my like particular tastes, and I know that objectively it's a great book. It would never be my go-to to pick up. So there's that one. I still haven't read Flip the Script by Lila Lee, which I'm looking forward to, and there's a whole bunch of other ones on my list of possibilities for this month as well. So perhaps I will put up a poll, see what the results say, and I will try to give one more reading update before I turn in for the night. So I will catch up with you in a little while. Hello, my friends. It is now Sunday evening. I have done some more reading. You know, my hair looks kind of ridiculous, but honestly at this point I just can't be bothered, so sorry if you're offended, but it is what it is. So, since we last spoke, I decided to finish reading This Wicked Fate by Kayla Barron, which is the sequel to This Poison Heart, which his fantasy novel that has like secret garden type inspirations and draws a lot from Greek mythology, and I really loved it. The sequel I started reading last weekend, and it was stressing me out a little bit too much, so I put it aside, but I decided that I needed to finish it because one of the prompts for the Whateverthon bingo is to continue a series, and I'm pretty sure that's the only sequel that I have on my radar right now, especially talking about books that have queer characters. So I finished that. I really loved it. Oh, also I wanted to mention, I don't know if you can hear the weird noise in the background. That's what my dryer sounds like. Super fun because it takes a super long time for things to dry. So if you can hear that, apologies for that also. What else? So yeah, I really liked that this Wicked Fate really got more into like the Greek mythology side of things, which is where the story was going in this Poison Heart, at least from what I can remember, because I did read it a really long time ago. So honestly, like what I was thinking most of all as I was reading this was, if you know a kid who grew up on Percy Jackson and loved it, and they're like a teenager or older now, give them this Poison Heart and this Wicked Fate, because it's just so good in that regard. I don't want to say too much really, because I don't want to spoil anything from this book or from the prior book if you haven't read it, but if you like books with strong female characters, I know I hate that, but also like I love it, and I love that this is like a group of strong and supportive women all working together. It makes me so happy. If you are interested in Greek mythology, like I think that the way that this book incorporated it was very interesting, and there were some interesting cameos from people from Greek mythology, and I really liked that. And again, the imagery and like the descriptions of the plants and the flowers and how they behave is, I think, my favorite thing. So I loved all of that. I love that this one turned into like an adventure quest. Like I said, it was stressful, there was some sad stuff, but overall it was a very good book. I think maybe if I were going to say anything, that the pacing was, in my opinion, a tad bit uneven. I just felt like, again, I was watching the percentage on the book go by and sort of being like, is this really only a duology? How are they gonna get everything done in the last like 15% of things? But it did all work out, and it was good. So that's that. I listened to like another chapter-ish of Too Bright to See, and I learned that Kyle Lukoff has a running theme of talking about the lie that is vegetables in his middle grade novels. You know, I read his other book that just came out this year, A Different Kind of Fruit, a couple months ago, and in it he talked about how vegetables are made up category. And if I had read Too Bright to See first, I would have known that that's just apparently going to be a thing that's in his middle grade books. Maybe not all of them, but definitely his first two. So that was fun. Anyway, like I said, I've only read or listened to about another chapter, so I haven't gotten that far. And I put up a poll on the Whateverthon Discord to see what my next read should be. The last time I checked it, there was a tie, and that's when I decided to just finish This Wicked Fate, because that wasn't one of the ones. So I think I'm gonna try and get up early and maybe read for like an hour before I go to work, and maybe start whatever book wins in that poll. But for now, it's almost 10. I'm tired. I finished 2 books today, which I feel like is good enough, and I did some other stuff, and now I have to get ready for work tomorrow. So I'm gonna go do some skincare, watch a TV show, and go to sleep. And I will have one last update for you tomorrow morning.
Good morning, friends. It is just about 7 a.m. I know that I said initially that I was going to do this readathon until 8 a.m., but I forgot that I have to go into a first period class today that starts at 7:50, so I need to make sure I'm ready for that, and I just have gotten off to kind of a slow start this morning, so I just wanted to wrap up before I go into work, where people will inevitably find me and ask me questions about things. So this is officially the end of my little 48-hour readathon within the Whateverthon, and over the course of the 2 days I was able to complete 4 books. Let's see if I can remember what they were. So on Saturday, I was able to read Cattywampus, which is a middle grade novel with an intersex character that involves magic and mischief and mayhem, and it's a lot of fun if you like any of those things. And then I also read Iron Widow, which fulfills the host favorite prompt, and that one was a surprise to me in how much I liked it, and I definitely I'm eager to read the sequel and find out what happens next in this weird futuristic world. Then yesterday I was able to finish Nate Plus One, which is an amazing rom-com by Kevin Van Wy. If you haven't read any of his books, I highly suggest checking out not just Nate Plus One, but also Date Me Bryson Keller, which is so fun. And that one, I did the color on the cover prompt and did a poll on Discord, and I was given the task of reading a book with an orange cover, and so I did. And then I also was able to finish This Wicked Fate, which is the sequel to This Poison Heart by Kailyn Barron. And This Wicked Fate was equally as good as This Poison Heart. Not only was there lots more like plant girl vibes, but they also had to do a quest, and there was a lot more incorporation of Greek mythology, and it was just really amazing. I also read about half of Too Bright to See. I am not finished with it, but based on where I am in the audiobook, it seems like I'm about halfway through. That one is getting creepier and spookier, so I think it aptly fits the spooky book thing, which is great. Also last night I did a poll on the Whateverthon Discord to see what my next read should be, and I just checked this morning and it looks like it's going to be Cafe con Leche by Emery Lee, so that is a book that I'm starting today, and I'm sure that I will have some other reading update for this readathon, the Whateverthon readathon, not the 48-hour one, sometime soon, so you can hear my thoughts on that then. Okay, so I really need to get to work. I hope that you had an outstanding weekend and got lots of reading done. If you want to tell me something you read this weekend, please feel free to leave me a comment, and otherwise I will catch up with you later.